experience or what you feel, what you think intuition mean to you, and how I can help you. I usually give you enough information that it pretty much answers a lot of the questions that you may have, right?
So I always felt that I was different from everybody else. Like I never fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, then I had nobody around me to teach me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started reading books and kind of learning on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Do you have any if you like, we can chat later, and then
Yeah, like
So can I help you with that?
Sure.
So when we meditate, because Sylvie's a regular meditator, and when we meditate, she's always sharing what she sees and what she feels, and you know, from the class that we're in, and she's just so, like, you just get so many messages from each person in the class, and she's you know, some of them are really good, and she's just so happy. So maybe talk about some of those messages.
And also, when we do guided meditation, now that I don't know if it's because I know her better, but I'm always, wherever she's going to go next, I'm always ahead. I already know what she's going to say before she says it.
no, it makes sense because I mentored a kid. He was 6 years old when I sensed he had the gift. So because where I used to work at the flower shop, that's my boss's grandson, okay, so the daughter's son. So I said, because at work they tease me, right? The brother especially, who doesn't really want to believe, but those kind of things. So he always teases me. I see dead people, right? So one day I just had this strong feeling that her son, that time he was 6 years old, now he's 21 or something. I said, Anna, your son is like me. He said, what do you mean like me? I said, you know, like me, like me? She said, what do you mean like me, like me? I said, you know, like Tony says, I see dead people like me. So he and I are very connected to the point that what he sees, I see. So when the mother calls me what he saw, what he was seeing something, I would tell exactly what he's seeing. Right? So
Yeah, so when you connect, like we have connected,
yeah. So you
she
can,
can
yeah.
be a step ahead.
Yes. And not only that, when you're a strong empath, you don't even need to be in the same room. You can even be overseas.
Yeah.
And
Anywhere in the world.
yeah. I felt my father's pain overseas when he was coming en route on a plane to migrate here. I felt the pain so much all of a sudden. Whenever I feel something abruptly, suddenly, take note what time. Okay? You want to take note what time, what you felt, because then you can actually check your notes. Oh yeah, this is what happened at this time. Because
So are you talking about time because of like angel numbers?
no. Let's say for instance, one example. I was 15. I was doing my homework. I was in college then, right? So I was working on my assignment, and suddenly I just like this, and then I felt my brother had a car accident. Okay, but because since I was a kid, I always had dreams that came true. So when I felt something, I just know it's true. So it's kind of scary when you feel that. So I look at the time just because I wanted to confirm that it happened at the same time I felt it, right? So we had a restaurant, so the restaurant is closed between 3 and 6, and I was doing my assignment, and I just like, I practically jump in my chair and just, oh my God, what happened to him, right? So I was scared to even tell my mom that my brother had an accident, so I just sat there. I couldn't do my homework anymore. I sat there for 3 hours waiting for my brother to come home. he did come home, he had a band-aid. The van was completely crushed, like smashed, crushed. And he was alive. And even when he brought it to the mechanic, they thought the driver was dead, but he said, no, I'm the driver. So he was actually quite sick. So actually, I find a lot of us in our family were very protected, right? And so my brother walked in. I asked him, did it happen at this time? He said yes. Okay. And similar feeling I had to a jump like that, right? When I knew my dad just took his last breath. I had a dream about his when he had cancer, came true, and I saw in my dream that I was the one that arranged the funeral. And logically, it didn't make sense then because he was in Pakistan and I was here. I'm the youngest of the kids, so I have older siblings, and usually the older take the lead. But it so happened he came here and he died 10 months after arriving here. And because my older brother that should have or would have taken the lead, he could not because I was the one that was familiar being here in Canada, right? So any sensation that just pops up, could be a good one, could be an uncomfortable one. Just start journaling what time you get those. And because then it's a point of reference for you to confirm for yourself, yes. But when you get that feeling, ask yourself, what does this mean? Okay? Ask, what does this mean? And whatever answer that you get, the very first answer that pops in your head is the one. Because you wouldn't have had time to actually formulate it in your head.
How often does it have to keep coming back? Because it's like,
All the time. It can be all the
It
time.
will come
For me,
back.
it's constant.
I mean, the thought that comes, because I know, so my dad passed away in December last year, but I know this in November, I was driving back from Montreal and I had this distinct feeling that, my dad may not make it past this year. But I don't know if that was just me knowing my dad's condition. My rational mind saying that. Because then I kind of brushed it
That's
off.
why, you see, I'm talking, the logic tried to talk you away about it.
Yes, and I don't want to say anything because you don't want to
you don't have
also
to
be
say
the
anything,
bearer of
but you
bad
know for
news,
yourself.
right?
But you know for yourself, you don't want to, how do you say, you don't want to upset anybody else in the family too. But there's a way to around it. Let's say, for instance, I knew when I had the dream, I didn't tell my mother. Okay, I just told my sisters in the States and I'm here in Canada. I said, I'm going home. I saw Dad died. And because I haven't seen him for years, I just want to make sure while he's still alive, I want to go and see him. Okay? And I said, I'm going to bring them back here because they were supposed to migrate here. Then the plane had to go back for him to get to the hospital. So there are some circumstances that you can carefully tell your family, or just round out everybody. Let's go and see mom and dad, something like that, right?
No, because it happened shortly after. His health started to decline.
Yeah.
And I kind of had, again,
But her dad is so funny. That is so funny.
Oh, yeah.
When I met him, he was already not lucid, right?
Because he has Alzheimer's
yeah.
and he has Parkinson's.
So when I first met him, I saw his spirit
Hovering
above him. The
And I
first
think
time.
it's very telling of what Alzheimer's patients must be, because it feels like, because I learned eventually that Alzheimer's, for those with Alzheimer's, are actually hovering between two worlds. They're partly here and partly in the other world, and they go back and forth. And I think when she saw the soul above my dad, that's when he's not here.
Yes.
There are times when she see them, but they're not. It's like a shell. There's nobody home. And
But
I
the
think
next time when I saw him, He said it was 3 years since he actually was very lucid. So we had a really nice conversation. But I felt he was ready to go. I shared it with Hester. And then when he did pass, that's when I got to know how funny he really was. Because he was with me all the time, and I was making the flower arrangements for the funeral. And he was like a joker, and I didn't know he was a joker until they told me, right? On the day of the funeral, of course I was going to deliver the flowers and everything was ready. I was just waiting for the time to head out. And I'm sitting down and he said, get a pen and paper and start writing, right? So, okay, just tell me. He said, no, get a pen and paper and start writing. So I wrote a whole speech from my dad. I don't remember what the speech was,
I
but
still have your.
yeah. So I wrote it, right? And then I shared it.
And it
at
was so
the-
true. It was my dad. She channeled it. Right? And there were messages for us.
But the funniest thing was I made at least 14 pieces, and because the family is so big, right? And I said I kept making them, the arrangement, and I said, oh, now whose name should I put to which arrangements, right? And I said to myself, it's gonna be tough now trying to, oh, what if I put in the person before that one or that one? So I asked her that, okay, help me, right? So I started putting the name. And then I put the name on, and her sister-in-law said, you know, Jacinta, the one that you made for me, that's exactly what I would have wanted for myself.
So you hear the voice? I think this is sort of when
I feel it.
You feel it.
I feel it. I'm not a clairaudient,
I hear what you
so I feel it. I feel it, which translate into words in my
It's funny
mind.
because for me it's more, I get it as a knowing.
Yes,
But
it's
then that's where it's really confusing because I don't know if it's the mind or if it's that.
Yeah, but that's even better because the knowing part, okay, so there's clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, and clairsentient, okay, all these clairs, right? So sometimes with the clairaudience, the mind can talk it away, right? And even the seeing thing, or you say you seeing things, no. But with the claircognizance, which comes through the mind, which is like a strong knowing, okay, that's one thing that even the logic cannot argue it away, because I don't think the logic has the capability to argue it away. It's just a strong knowing. But
And that's
it will
probably-
question it because I know.
That's probably Sylvie. It's
Mhm.
probably claircognizant
Yeah.
because she knows what you're gonna
Do.
think or say,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I know. People scared of me sometimes. They say, I'm even scared to think around me just in case you read.
I know, because my kids, ever since they were little,
Yeah.
Mom, are you awake?
Yeah, actually my son, he's now 36 years old. When he was in his late 20s, you know, he works for TD Bank. And he one day came home and said, Mom, one of my coworkers is going to come to you for a reading. I said, I told your coworker I do readings? I mean, a guy. I don't know. You know, my mom. So I asked her when she came, I said, what did my son tell you? He said, we were talking about something, and he said, you should go see my mom, she's bang on. I said, the poor kid. I probably scared him his whole life.
Yeah.
You know, because I used to do this. Now you're thinking this. And then he's like going like this, and you're thinking this now. And then he's like shrinking away. So really, your body, trust your body. You know, like you use a tarot card as a tool, but if you actually listen to your body language, you won't need tarot card. But of course, some people like the fact that you're reading a tarot card, right? So what I do, I read plain piece of paper, which actually we did workshop Hester, and she did really well too. She was surprised,
Yeah.
right? So what we did, if you guys are interested to do the paper reading workshop, we get a blank piece of paper and you crumble it up, you write your names down, and then I teach you how to read it, right? So you just share with each other, and you're gonna read the person's name that you pick, and then I'll add what you miss. So
Oh, that sounds
I-
fun.
yeah. You wanna sign up? Put your name down, okay?
That sounds fun.
How many of you want to do that? Raise your hand.
I'm into that. Yeah.
Carol.
Yeah, so I do all the different kind of workshops. More to come, and I will keep you guys informed if you want to. Now, Krista, we shared a little bit, but some more.
I have all kinds of different experiences. So, the intuitive hits that I was getting that I didn't listen to was just a knowing, and I didn't listen because I didn't like what it was saying, and I didn't want it to be true, and I chose to just turn a blind
Ignore it.
eye. Yeah. I have for a very long time had dreams